Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of Midweek Matters. I'm joined as usual by Charlie White.
Jimmy, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Obviously, the studio is looking a little bit different. That's because we're here in Brisbane to record a few guests, aren't we?
That's right. Just did Adam Reynolds just before recording this. So he'll be coming out.
Amazing conversation.
Yeah, coming out on Sunday. Great chat. And we're in Brisbane, and the studio we're using is Ladbrokes Studio. So thank you to Ladbrokes for having us.
Yes.
It's great to be here. We've gone and got a coffee. Just great part of Brisbane. A free cup of coffee as well.
Yeah, we're learning a lot about each other.
We are.
Well, along the way. Charlie and I went for a 10K run this morning.
We did. I regret doing that. That's for sure. My foot's fucked.
We're both a little bit sore. Charlie got a little bit. It probably would have been 9K, but Charlie got a bit lost on the way back, fannying around with the directions.
Yeah. Although, I mean, to be fair, we were aiming to do 10K. So, if anything, me getting lost sort of was able to help us achieve our goal.
Yeah, we did have to double back on ourselves though, because you went the wrong. Yeah. Anyway.
But what about when we were running the wrong way? You're like, nah, let's go this way. And then we got there, and you're like, then you run us down to the end of some port. And we had to go dead end there, and then we turned around. To be fair, This is a boring conversation.
It is a boring conversation.
Nothing worse than people who like running talking about running.
Yeah.
It's one of my pet peeves is people who are into their fitness and then talk about their fitness.
Well, let's talk about walking, so learn something new about people. Basically, I got shoulder charged as we were walking down here from Charlie because he didn't want to walk underneath a sign.
That's not true. That's not true.
It is true.
It made more sense to not go under the sign. Because it's bad luck to go under signs as well.
Is it?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of superstition there. I've never done it throughout my life. I refuse to walk under a sign.
You nearly shoulder charged me out of the game today, but
yeah. Well, I did try and shoulder charge you when we were on the plane. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
you might
I did.
Not have felt
well,
it.
no,
You
I felt
your
it.
hands in your bag.
because
I pushed you hard enough to knock you over, but you didn't get full.
I was looking for my case for my earphones, which was highly annoying. But
just want to give a shout out as well while we're shouting out things in Brisbane to Kevin Colette and the guys at Foster and Black.
Yes,
free coffee. I'm going to say best coffee I've ever had.
It is really
honestly,
good coffee.
Genuinely the best coffee I've ever had. If you're ever in Brisbane on Wickham Street near the Fortitude Valley area.
Yeah, speaking of free things, it's come to our attention as well. You got some free pies.
Yeah, Nonna's pies, Nonna's Tina's pies. I should get the exact name for it. I believe it's Nonna's Tina's.
Yeah. Did you share them with Tony and I?
Well, the plan was to share them with both of you because they sent us 4. Yeah, Nonna's Tina's. Absolutely. I'm going to be honest. If I have to be honest, it's probably the best pie I've ever had in my life. Okay. Best coffee, best pie. But no, in all seriousness, delicious pies. They were amazing.
Thanks for
had them in the oven.
Tony
They had a chicken parmigiana, an egg parmigiana, a bolognese pie.
Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
It was great. But we don't have a post box at the podcast studio. So you can't actually post out of the podcast studio. So
we just post them to your house and just bring them in next time.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. Post the free stuff to my house and then I'll bring it in. But then
just like the Tooheys socks that we never got.
I've actually got the Tooheys socks on.
I can see that. Yeah, I wish I did.
Yeah.
But Brisbane. It's been a great trip so far. A couple of guests to record tomorrow, which is going to be some really good conversations.
Yep.
This morning we do our run, and you go, "Oh mate, I've got to go down, get things set up at the studio, make sure everything works." Blah,
That's
blah,
because
blah.
I'm a planner.
Yeah, you're a planner. Okay, I'll stay at the Airbnb, meet you down there. You say, "Oh, let's get a feed at this cafe." Now, you took us to one of the most bizarre cafes.
Just before we get to the cafe, though, what was your job this morning? Before coming to meet me at the cafe, what was your job this morning?
Get prepared and get ready.
Nah, there was a job you
was
had
it
to
to
go
buy some Tooheys cans that you forgot to bring to Brisbane?
Yeah, technically I forgot to bring them, but aren't we all a team? Like you could have said, "Oh, we should make sure you bring the Tooheys cans." Why is it just my job to remember the Tooheys cans? It's really both of our jobs as a team, And then your one job was to go to BWS, get the cans. You rock up to the cafe, no cans. So I then had to go and find a BWS and buy the Tooheys cans myself, which is fine. But anyway, let's get back to the story of the cafe.
Yeah, so go to this cafe that you told me to meet you at. The most bizarre cafe I've ever been in. The menu is like the jack of all trades. Like this is like, for those of you looking at it, like the extras are actually insane.
What are some of the extras?
Some of the standouts on the extras are all like sides. You've got a rib fillet steak as a side, and you got all sorts of crazy shit going on here. Egg fried, egg poached, egg scrambled. Like, we know that. Just put eggs.
They've also got they've got an egg section, but then they've also got an omelette and scrambled egg section.
Yeah.
Like, how many different ways can you scramble an egg? You don't need a full section of the menu for scrambling eggs. Another one, they've got a French toast section. 4 different types of French toast.
Yeah, and they're not a specialty French toast place.
No.
Even something else on the side, macadamia nuts, 20 grams. And even on the wraps, they've got on their wraps, it's like Big Bertha is back, wrap, chicken breast, 100 grams, bacon, 1, melted cheese, 2, mashed avo. And but then, like, you don't need to specify. No one's weighing it out. And then another wrap, they've got 200 grams of chicken breast.
3 different types of fries as well.
Like some of the
Cafe 63, we should say as well.
Yeah, they've named one of their their specials, I guess. The Roger Bannister, like halloumi. He broke the 4-minute mile.
Yeah. Well, they've got a Cafe Freeman on the menu. The Ian Thorpe.
What's Roger Bannister got to do with 120 grams of halloumi, green leaves, coleslaw, Monet tomatoes with Italian dressing, mashed avo, fresh chili, and roasted macadamia nuts? Like,
what about the 6 cups of coffee as well?
6 different sizes of coffee. Yeah.
It was funny though, because I'd ordered. I was ready to order. You arrived. You're like, yeah, no worries, mate. I'd already seen the menu, so I knew I was getting myself in for. And I picked a wrap, and then you said, yeah, no, I'll be right. I'll be right by the time they get to me.
Do you know what? They're even... Yeah, no, I did. I just thought, oh, bang.
And then we stood there. The waiter stood there for 5 minutes while you picked something. It's like,
but it's so overwhelming.
And then you're like asking for stuff out on the side, parmesan dressing on the side.
You know, they've actually expanded into doing fresh flowers.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. We should probably get to some rugby league though. Now,
yeah, we probably should, shouldn't we? As we're here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Mate, speaking to Adam Reynolds, we were talking, how are Brisbane not favourites?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at the players, they've only lost Flegler and Herbie Farnworth. They're obviously big losses, though. They're 2 great players, great front rower, great outside back. But Penrith have lost a couple of great players as well. Stephen Crichton and Spencer Leniu's obviously leaving as well. And then if you look at the gap that those 2 teams had to the rest of the competition, I mean, surely it's probably it could be a 2-horse race again.
Yeah, I think those 2 again will be slightly closer to the pack. We're going to see improvement from South Sydney, Cowboys, Roosters, most definitely. And there'll be some other teams that will improve out of sight as well. So a couple of those teams I mentioned didn't actually make the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season pans out. And there's going to be some sleeping giants who will be the Warriors of 2024. It's yet to be seen. I'm putting all my faith in the Bulldogs, but there's a lot of water and a lot of hard work to be done on that front. But for me,
so I think the Bulldogs will contend, do you? Is that what you're saying there?
I'm going to say they're going to be better.
Yeah. What better than, where did they finish last year? 15th?
Can't recall.
16th?
No,
yeah, nice. Better than that. That's good.
All right.
Should be a good year for
All
them.
right. Thanks, mate. Thanks for ruining my chain of thought. I think the Broncos should be favourites.
Well, you look at their team. You've got Reece Walsh, who is arguably the best fullback in the game already.
Well, if they'd have won that game, which they should have, then they would be favourites. Like, I think Penrith are only favourites now.
Yeah.
Because they won.
It's almost like a mark of respect. You've won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Of course, you're the Premiership favourites.
Yeah.
I might be a fool for saying this, but I really cannot see Penrith win the comp.
I could see them going again. I just don't think they should be favourites. I think the Broncos should be.
Yeah.
I can definitely see them doing it again.
We look at their team. It's like
They're
Reece
still
Walsh is so electric.
Yeah.
Ezra Mann is so electric. It was really interesting, Adam Reynolds, which you'll hear on the podcast on Sunday, him talk about the growth of his game and how he almost wished he played with a guy like Greg Inglis now.
Yes.
Because he could exploit defenses a lot better just by getting Greg a bit more space, getting Greg in positions where he's sort of one-on-one. That level of intelligence can't be underestimated. And with those electric players, it's like he's like the perfect halfback for guys like Reece Walsh and Ezra Mann to play with.
Mate, so he is exactly what Brisbane needed. And I think, we spoke to him and he was probably a little bit humble about the effect that he's had on those players and also the effect that he's going to have moving forward as well. His experience of being in similar situations before with South Sydney is going to be vital for those younger players.
And even he spoke about Billy Walters. I think I didn't know this listening to the podcast, but Billy Walters, this is only his second preseason at hooker.
Yeah, mate, that's like in one of the most demanding positions, knowing where the ball, like you control so much of the game. Like he's only going to get better. I thought, once the Broncos said that they were the talk of Ben Hunt, he went to another level. I thought that really brought the best out of him, and I think obviously a lot of focus on the three other spy members in Reynolds, in Walsh, in Mann, but Billy Walters, you've got a player there.
Well, let's move on to some of the news then, because so Michael Maguire, it looks as though it's going to be imminent for him to sign on officially as the New South Wales coach now that the New Zealand, all that stuff's done. Congratulations to New Zealand. We'll get to them shortly. But it looks as though there's a chance that he could be taking on the New South Wales head coach, stay as the Kiwis coach, and then also stay as the Canberra Raiders assistant. So have 3 roles across. Basically, he's got a role in every aspect of rugby league: international representative, state of origin, and clubland.
Yeah, it's uncharted. I can't recall this ever being the case before, but there's no reason why Michael Maguire can't do it. It doesn't appear like there's going to be mid-season tests, so there's no conflict of interest there. There's no time resource where he's got to be putting efforts into the Kiwis while he should be putting efforts into New South Wales and vice versa. It's totally independent of each other. I guess the juggling act will come when the Raiders, and he'll need to be there around those lads in their season, and then he's got to be focusing on things that he's going to be looking to do with New South Wales. So that's where it's going to come under scrutiny, and mate, you know exactly what the New South Wales media are like. Well, this is the excuse, the reason the storylines have already been written.
Yeah,
already been written.
Well, mate, even after that Kangaroos game, where they not the final, but the week before, they got pumped, and straight away it was like Madge is distracted. Madge is not focused on the Kiwis. How could he be doing this? Like, all the criticism already came from just after losing one game to the Kangaroos.
Yeah, well, and that's it. A week's a long time in sport, and you can he's the. Looking like a genius at the minute after the scoreline that the Kiwis put on Australia. He looks like a genius.
Yeah.
But, you forget. You go back a week and it's like, he's distracted. So, and Madge is a smart enough bloke not to react too much to media pressure and personnel. But we all know, and there's a big difference between the New Zealand media and losing a test match against Australia with an opportunity to win the final, to, you're going into a New South Wales Queensland State of Origin series. Okay, the eyes are going to be on Canberra before the first game, before the first squad announcement. Like, how much is Madge focusing on this? Are Canberra overperforming, underperforming? It's these headlines and these subplots just aren't going to go away, and the people up here in Queensland, they'll love it because it's just another distraction for New South Wales, and everything is just, it couldn't be better up here for Queensland Rugby League at the moment.
The other thing that's not in Madge's favour, and by the way, at the time of recording, it's not official. It could be official that he's the coach. It's a done deal. It is what it is. But the thing that's not in Madge's favour is that he has no State of Origin experience as a player. And if you look at all the successful coaches in State of Origin, the most successful ones have had very successful careers in State of Origin as a player, apart from Wayne Bennett in State of Origin. However, I think he was too old by the time it all sort of gotten away anyway. So he's probably the only coach that hasn't had success as a player in Origin, but has also gone on to have success as a coach. But he's a very unique character, Wayne Bennett, and he's a very experienced representative coach.
Again, this is just another subplot for the media. Like, he doesn't get it. That's what it'll be. He doesn't get it. I remember even when the talk of God forbid, an Englishman in Sam Burgess taking over, it was like, whoa, he just doesn't get it. It's like, well, maybe he doesn't, maybe he does, and maybe some is about tapping into that and having the people around you. But Madge is a first-class coach with what he's done with Wigan, then what he came back over here in Australia and did with South Sydney, and now look at what he's done with the New Zealand team. But people will say Origin is different, and of course it is. But the guy's been in the pressure cooker before. He'll be in that pressure cooker with New South Wales. And look, who are the other candidates? I don't know the full story around Freddie Fittler and him not re-signing or what went on there. But if the candidate list, there wasn't exactly anybody screaming out like he's taking this job. And I think he'll do a fantastic job. It's great for Madge. Well, first off, the way coaches think, they always see the upside. And there's a huge upside. New South Wales are not that far away. They are not that far away. He's got, he's got some big decisions to make on selection, which is going to change throughout the weeks and the months and as the season goes on. So he's got some big calls to make it. Especially around their captain and their fullback. He was James Tedesco. I think he was unfortunately made a bit of a scapegoat for the final for the series just gone. His performances, I think, have been after that rest. I thought he went back to the James Tedesco that we know and love, and proved a lot of people wrong. But he's again, there's a candidate list for the potential fullbacks for New South Wales. That's a big decision for Madge, and whether he fits them all in, whether he goes with genuine centres or plays that almost double fullback role. So there's big decisions for Madge should he get this job, and but again, it's just all going to come down to, can he do it all? They're going to be writing, he's too interested in Canberra, he's focusing on the Kiwis at the end of the year, but that's just all part of the media dance.
Well, let's talk about his Kiwis team, because they were far too good for Australia. They absolutely destroyed them in Hamilton. And off the back of just some incredible performances by guys like James Fisher-Harris.
Fisher-Harris was amazing. He was immense. He really, you could see the passion, like how much it means to him to represent his country. It was inspiring stuff from him.
Do you reckon speaking of passion, do you reckon there's more passion in the Kiwi team than the Kangaroos? And it's probably a reflection of State of Origin's the pinnacle for Australian rugby league players. So they're more passionate about Queensland, New South Wales than maybe they are for internet for Australia. But because you look at even that post-game speech from Chance Neil-Cook, so he's in tears, crying, talking about the win, it feels like it means more to the Kiwi players than it does the Australians.
Yeah, look, I think you can certainly make a point to that, but then you go back a week and when Australia win, they're not. It's a different victory, and had Australia have won, it'd be hard to envisage players breaking down like that. But look, a week's a long time in sport, but I think it's fair to say it means more to the Kiwis. Of course, it's just the way that our game has gone.
Yeah,
with the power of Origin, just the everything around that beast. It's. Yeah, and unfortunately, the Australians that Australian rep jersey has suffered. There hasn't been the emphasis on it. When was the last Kangaroo tour? 2006. The British team came here. There is going to be one in a couple of seasons, but those were the key things for the Kangaroos. And yes, they've had World Cups and stuff like that, but those sort of big key events in the international calendar, they've just not been there.
Well, and also I think the Australian fans aren't necessarily as behind Australia as maybe the Kiwi fans are as well, because you spoke about trying to get fans to show up to these international games to make it seem important.
Jeez, man, the crowd was disappointing.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing. Even in Hamilton it was disappointing as well, not just the England game, but the crowd in Hamilton, for at least from some of the pictures I saw. Yeah, well, that's what you were talking about.
That's what I was referring to, mate. The crowd in Hamilton was... It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. There's no... I think that's putting it politely.
There's a podcast called What's New in the Castle, which is like a New South Wales sort of fan-focused podcast focusing on the mainly Newcastle Knights, but a lot of other stuff. But they spoke about you talking about trying to get more fans to the game. And I think they raised a really interesting point, which was it was announced so late. It was announced in like round 20 or something like that. It's almost like an afterthought. So it's hard to expect fans to really get behind this tournament and make it into something big when the NRL was just last minute gone, we better play some internationals. Let's get that sort of organised. Who's playing who? We'll quickly do a Pacific Championships. Like, what is the Pacific Championships?
Yeah, well now that there's a bit of a plan in place, you know, people can look to build to it, but it's like anything new, it doesn't have that same prestige. It's kind of like that, the new tournament they bought in FIFA, the Nations League. Like if England win it, like they're not having a street parade. Like no one's really that bothered.
They're basically glorified friendlies.
Yeah, they are. Now, obviously, with what we're trying to build here with International Rugby League, I think it's obviously looking to, you know, grow the game internationally, and especially the recent performances and all the upside of Samoa and Tonga. Like, we really need to get behind that. Obviously, Tonga have gone over to England. Samoa are going next year, but I don't know, mate. That crowd in Hamilton was just it pains me, because you've got the best players in the world, some of the best players in the world there, and there's like no one to see them, and it doesn't look important, and it looks amateurish. You know what? It makes you want to turn off.
Yeah.
Like even as an avid International Rugby League fan, as a lover of our game, even though I know that you look at it and you go, what's doing there? Like, and and you know what, Charlie? Like I've said this, I'm such a big supporter of the international game, but I'm really disillusioned by it. And you know, if the fans don't want to watch, I don't know what the viewing figures were like, but it's disappointing if it's, I don't know. I just don't know what the answer is. I really don't, but just can't shy away from that disappointment of the crowd to see those players, and maybe they should play it somewhere else. I don't know. And
yeah, playing the game in Melbourne was odd. No, I mean, I guess playing the game in Hamilton was a bit odd as well. Why aren't you just playing that game at Mount Smart Stadium?
Yeah.
It probably ends up being a seller. I don't know if it sells out in Sydney though. I don't know if you put it in Sydney.
I don't
Maybe
know.
Newcastle would have been a good place to take the Australia.
But even like Charlie, look at that, the haka both weeks. Like, that's electrifying stuff. You imagine that in front of a packed house, everyone like going off. It just was one of the best. When they had that was it last week where they had the pause and the face? It was like the Mexican standoff. It's like, you can feel the tension, but you need a crowd there to feed off that.
Well, they've got to build the rivalries more. They've got to. Maybe some more pot shots should be had by other clubs in the media.
But maybe this result, this does fire people up.
Yeah, because I mean the Kangaroos and the Kiwis are like here and here right now. They're very, very close. But I mean, well, speaking of the Kangaroos, we were talking about it a bit before. There's been a lot of talk that this is the worst Australian side, which is very much over the top. But there is a good chance that this team, particularly the spine, looks quite different for the next World Cup, and looks quite different even in a year's time. Yeah, well, look, it's funny. James Tedesco came up earlier in the podcast. I think he keeps his. Obviously, if he continues to play well, I think he keeps his Origin jersey. But I think for Australia, like, if you look at that team, it was Tedesco at fullback, Cherry Evans, obviously Cleary, had he been fit, he would have played. Munster, I think he's still got plenty of football, and then Ben Hunt, who is Ben Hunt, Harry Grant, sort of switching.
Yeah, but for Australia, they're probably looking at it and going, well, next year it's the same tournament format, but Tonga will switch in for Samoa. Then they've got the Ash, if memory serves me correctly,
Ashes
2025 into a World Cup 2026. So the reality of the situation, it's we probably need to blood our fullback next year, so they're not going into an Ashes series like fresh. Like, and that might happen through injury, but I think, or their hooker or this seven, they need to be looking at who's going to be the spine in that Ashes series. Let's granted there will be account for injury, but it's hard to envisage Tedesco still being at the peak of his powers come the Ashes series. Like, again, if I think there was a 3-game test series between Australia and New Zealand, and Australia win the first, New Zealand win the second, there's another game next week, Tedesco keeps his spot. Like, it shows that, like, the Kiwis lost and they didn't overreact with changes in their team. Now, Australia, had they had another game, would they have overreacted and make some changes? Would they have reacted and made some changes? Possibly, but I don't think you'd have that big overhaul. But I think for next season, if they'll be looking to build for Ashes series and World Cup, and they'll start to blood some of those players, and probably the guys, early 30s. Will probably, I'm assuming Mal Meninga will, thank them for their great services to the to the Kangaroos, but move them on. And even Tedesco could play State of Origin that next year in season 2025 if he's still playing well enough. But I just don't see, or wouldn't see the point. And we're looking so far into the future. I wouldn't see the point in playing him in the Australian jersey.
Well, it's the deepest position in the NRL, the fullback position, really, when you think about it. Because first, the two names come to mind straight away is Reece Walsh and Kalen Ponga.
Yeah, you know what, Charlie? They do, but then you got Latrell Mitchell, you got Tommy Trbojevic. Like, you forget those two because they're not in vogue at the moment.
Yep.
And they've been
injured.
And
Dylan Edwards, don't forget his name as well. Fittest guy in the NRL.
Like,
Hooker's the harder one because Harry Grant obviously is there, locked in that position for the next 10 years. But is he an 80-minute hooker? I guess he can play 80 minutes for sure. But I think it seems like Mal Meninga likes bringing him off the bench after 20 minutes, same as how he's used in Origin. So I guess they need to find someone to take that Ben Hunt role. That could be Damien Cook. That could be Api Coruscant.
Yeah, look, and there's plenty to figure out, and I guess we'll see. Obviously, injuries, form, all that sort of jazz, but. I think if Mal Meninga was picking an Australian team for this week and it was a 3-game series, he goes with, roughly speaking, the same team, the same squad. Even if he had the chance to throw the baby out with the bathwater and bring in a completely new crop, I don't think he'd do that. But I think moving forward, he's got some homework to do, and that's all part of being a representative coach. Like Michael Maguire's going to have. Mal has been along for a longer time. He's got a great record with the Kangaroos. He's seen past that generation of Slater, of Smith, of Cronk, and of Thurston. That he navigated those guys through, and then this new air crop. Or now that they're getting to the back end of their career, he'll manage those through and bring in this next crop through. So he'll be scouting, he'll be watching every single game, seeing who will provide that balance and cohesion between the squad, and either start at dummy half and bring Harry Grant on, or vice versa.
We're going to take a quick break from this podcast to talk to you about AG1. Now, this is a product I've been taking for over a year now, and I absolutely love it. It gives me all of my daily nutritional needs in one easy drink. All you have to do is put in 1 scoop of AG1 into a nice cold glass of water, and you are set for the rest of the day. The cupboard has been cleaned out of tablets and powders because all my needs are met by AG1. The power of routine cannot be underestimated, and we all know how small habits lead to big wins. Some of those big wins for me have included better gut health. My clarity, especially in the afternoon, has improved so much. Gone has the mid-afternoon slump. AG1 is a foundational nutritional supplement. Now, as humans, we all share that same basic foundational needs. That's where AG1 take care of everything. This supports your body's needs like nutrient replenishment, gut optimization, stress management, and immune support. AG1 is the supplement I trust to provide the support my body needs daily. And that's why they've been a partner and I've been a user for so long. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1, a buy round exclusive. If you try AG1, you get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/buy round. That's drinkag1.com/buy round for our exclusive Australia-wide offer. Check it out.
Let's get to our favourite segment then. All thanks to Tooheys. Here we go.
Fan feelings.
Nothing more than
How do you feel?
And I do really feel like a Tooheys or two. It's great to have the Platinums in studio as well. They look fantastic. Great with this new studio as well. The black can sort of suits the vibe, doesn't it?
I think after we finish, might go for a Tooheys.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to probably just crack these open. Or we need them here for a couple more interviews,
yes,
don't we?
we do.
Because it's not just Adam Reynolds we're doing up, and there's a couple other guests.
Yeah,
May as well say who they are.
No, let's keep it as a surprise.
Okay.
I like to surprise our viewers.
First question then from Dan Birrell. And he said, Dale mentioned, so we're talking about the round table show, Dale Finucane mentioned getting more fans to the game, but it comes down to price, tickets, food and parking. To take a family of 4 to a game nowadays, it costs around $150 to $200. Just can't justify spending that weekly.
Look, I get that there's cost of living issues. I totally understand that. And, you know, when I was reflecting on my comments about the number of fans at the England game, I know the people in the north of England are really struggling. Like there is that genuine hardship that people are going through. It's like I don't know if I can afford that, but you know, I think there can be possibly they could look at reducing the cost of entry, especially for families. You know, if they're going to play a test match in the day in New Zealand, make it a family friendly price, but then, you know, it's a fine balancing act that you can't just give tickets away because then you devalue the product itself. And look, you know, I grew up watching football, looking at the prices, going, geez, can't afford that. I know what it's like for my parents. I'm there as a kid, whinging, whining, but no joke. Like my dad would bring a flash to the game and sandwiches, and that's just what we did.
They're quite strict on that these days.
Yeah.
I know about bringing in, especially flasks, because you don't know what's in it. You know, they're like, you're not allowed to take alcohol in. Obviously,
No.
They're even a bit strict on like water bottles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, but in terms of like sandwiches, you know, I guess you could bring a few sandwiches in. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
then I guess
you've got to pay for lunch. I know some. Look, I know I'm not that out of touch where I don't realise some of the prices that you pay in stadiums are ridiculous. But like, it's like that at any event. And like, I was at Paul McCartney on the weekend. Like, bit of merchandise, ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, you go to any concert, it's all they've all got the same issue.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for me personally, I'd rather go and watch a game of rugby league than watch someone sing, and those stadiums would be packed out.
But I guess they're once a year events.
Yeah,
you know?
they
I mean,
are.
Paul McCartney's probably a once every. I don't know when the last time he came to
Well,
Australia.
I think this will be his last.
Yeah. Unless he's got another tour in him, you never know. The
Big
old
Six
bugger.
again.
Yeah.
He's all right. But look, I think that's something that the NRL, if they are going to control some of this international game, which I'm led to believe that they are, making it more affordable for families would be a great initiative. It would also sort of really shift that back. It could help people be inspired to be Kiwis, Kangaroos, play for Samoa, Tonga, whatever it may be, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, all those nations. If they are going to do that, I would applaud them. But you can't cheapen the product so much where it's just you then completely lose its value.
I know the point you're making about sort of food and like maybe try and bring your own food and things like that, but that's not really taking a zoomed out like look at the issue and going, oh, well, just bring your own food. You don't have to buy the food. Well, yeah, but also like people can watch it at home then and have nice food and have a beer and sit back and enjoy the game. So you've got to make it an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, you do.
So just saying, oh, you don't have to eat, you don't have to drink, is a shit way of looking at it, I think, personally.
Well, you can think that, Charlie, and maybe you're right. Maybe you are right, but then it's the same every stadium. across the globe. I'm unaware, maybe someone will pull up and go, well, in Germany, they do this. And I know in Germany, the way they do the Bundesliga tickets, it's absolutely phenomenal. I can't recall it from the top of my head, but they have really cheap access for all members and fans, and that's why they're always packed out. But, you shouldn't be surprised by the price of food in stadiums. And you just, yes, but it should be cheaper all the time. But there's obviously a reason why those prices are inflated that I'm not trying to justify.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to justify why they are so expensive. It pisses me off as well. But
I'm sure it's very expensive to operate a stadium. If you look at it, you look how big it is, the amount of staff you need. It's that would be a major reason why it's expensive. But also, the thing about you need to try. You're right. You need to try and get it cheaper for families to get people there. But there's also the thing that I look at is there's so many empty seats in stadiums. What more can you do with that? Is there not a solution where you can put all these tickets in a lottery or put the tickets up for bidding or something like that, so you don't cheapen the initial tickets and you don't lose money? Sometimes you look at those stadiums, you're like, just put them up for a lottery. Try and give them away.
Yeah. But you mentioned the point, Charlie, where it's it's just easier to watch it on TV. But or stay at home. Well, a lot of things are easier if you just sit at home on your arse and watch it on the telly.
Yeah.
But you know what? Life's about, in my opinion, life's about getting out there, getting the experience.
Yeah,
it's going to cost you to do that. But mate, you can sit at home and watch TV and flick on your phone, and that's all your life will be. Or you can see these amazing athletes in the flesh. You'll be able to see you were there, right? There used to be that old adage of you go to the game because of the atmosphere. Well, now there's no atmosphere, so you don't go to the game. But think about being there just for the spectacle of the haka and the Aussies facing that down.
Yeah,
that's hair on your arm standing up, the back of your neck. That's a buzz. That's a feeling that, yes, it comes through the TV and the radio, but it's nothing like being there at the game. And I'd say the same for attendances at stadiums across Sydney, where I don't think they're supported as much as what they should be. And yes, fans are coming back. There's plenty of data out there to show that the fans are wanting to get there and experience it, because of the product that these athletes are putting out there is amazing. I just think, I'm not telling people what to do with their money. I get that times are hard for people, but I think it's worth going to see. And obviously, some of the situation with the international is the location of those games. Maybe that needs to be looked at as well, because for an Australian fan to fly to Melbourne from likely somewhere in Queensland, New South Wales, where the overwhelming majority of the Australian rugby league Kangaroo fan would be, that's where they're going to look and go, well, I can't afford to go down there on Cox Plate weekend.
Yeah. You know what? I do think they need to look at those, a core stadium, as a place to play games. I mean, we've got this amazing stadium just in the city, which had 6 or 7 league games at it this year. It was nothing. And then you got a core stadium getting so much footy, and it's such an annoying place to go. If you're driving, you're gonna have to pay a fortune to park in P1. It costs $30 to park in P1, or you can park in the other ones. It's so expensive to park there. Or you get the train. But there's no direct train from Central. You've got to get off at Lidcombe or whatever the thing is, change trains, go another one. It's such a shit process to get to a core stadium.
Yeah.
Why are we playing so much footy? Especially, and you get two clubs that are maybe struggling. You got the Tigers against the Doggies. 5,000 people rocking up. It's not the experience. Whereas you could just,
look,
because also you talk about staying at home. It's not just staying at home. You can also go to the pub and watch it. Going to the pub and watching sport's pretty good. You got all your mates there. What is that? We'll get a snitty. Ooh, we'll get a couple of beers.
Oh, but you're gonna. Do you reckon a schnitzel and chips in a pub would be more than a pie at the?
I reckon it would be. But it'll be a lot better quality as well.
Yeah, but it's not the same level of enjoyment, and as well, I reckon if you actually observe,
it's not the same level of enjoyment to who though. That's a personal thing, isn't it?
Mate. Well, I reckon society has changed where people want their phone on them all the time. You're there. I like going to the pub when the football's on to watch people watch the game.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time they don't watch the game. They're like half on their phone, looking at this. They don't see the game.
It's funny you brought that up because someone told me that you were at Paul McCartney. Someone said they saw you and they saw you with your phone out filming Paul McCartney.
Wrong.
With the
Incorrect.
flash.
No chance.
With the flash on.
No.
When Let It Be was come on, you had your phone flash on, you were swinging it around.
It actually perplexes me why people at any event film the event.
Well, mate, that's just what they said. So
I know, but you know that's wrong because we spoke about it on the way up.
I don't remember seeing it on the way up.
We were in really good seats that I paid for, by the way. Didn't get freebies like you. And I think
thank you, Matt Hooper, for the freebies.
I think there's some like certain demographic you sort of expect it to say like, oh, they're gonna film and whatever. But there was this old geezer in front of me. It would have been late 70s. And he's just on his phone. He was like filming him. He was taking pictures of Paul McCartney on the screen. I'm thinking, so what are you going to do with that?
Or maybe he's going to send to his grandkids or, and
he's going to show off.
Explain to the grandkids what the Beatles are about, Like,
tell them.
This guy, tell them,
Like the whole concert would be on YouTube. You're not going to capture a better experience.
I guess it's a personal memory that he's recording,
Take a picture.
Go back and look at it and go,
But honestly, he was non-stop. I was like, mate, but you're better than that.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I put a little video of my Instagram story of me at Paul McCartney. Not me personally, but like a video of the stage.
Because you're showing off.
And my dad...
you're showing off. Look at me, what I'm doing.
All right, next question.
No,
I don't know if we solved
because
that problem at all
really,
Dan.
Mate, people filming, like someone's taking a conversion and they'll film it. It's like, what are you going to do?
I have noticed. I was told that you were doing some filming at Paul McCartney. So
no, I wasn't.
You can deny
no, I wasn't.
You can deny
I'll give you access to my photos. You can see, like, there was no videos made.
Yeah, well, that's all I can go. I know you like filming the commentary box as well.
Oh, don't you dare! It is mind-boggling. Like, even like Pete. Like I'm a man with a mission. Like I'm making people feel awkward now when they take in unnecessary pictures. Like, if someone's like taking a picture of their breakfast, I am going to stare them out into embarrassment. Yeah. It's embarrassing. Well, you're taking a picture of maybe you should be taking one food picture a year. One.
What would you
like
count?
A very special like meal that's like doing something crazy. Like, I don't know if it's one of those experience meals that they've got the dry ice over it. What I don't know. I don't even know if that could justify like, oh, I'm going to take a picture of this food I'm about to eat. Yet some, it's like just scrambled eggs on toast, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're taking a picture of your food. What are you going to do with that? That it takes energy. It takes fuel. Now, I'm not one of these climate crisis guys, but that's unnecessary energy that we could all put back into the globe, save the planet by not taking bullshit pictures of your food, your drink. Just, you know what? We might even get plastic straws back. I'd be happy if everyone just stopped taking pictures of their breakfast. Yeah. I reckon we could bring back plastic straws, just like the one Charlie's got.
Hey, I'm a paper straw.
That's my rant anyway. But, no, in all seriousness, back to what we were actually talking about. The cost of getting to the football obviously is an issue. We need to support. We need to get families there as much as we possibly can. And it's that fine balancing act of how much do we cheapen the product. I don't know if we can just give them away, but I would like to see more fans at the game. I would like to see it more cost effective for families because the entertainment is amazing. Way better than some of the crap on TV that people watch.
But also families is the big one that I think, like, I don't have any kids. I wouldn't, if it's cheaper for families, like, that makes sense. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, why are they getting cheaper tickets? You're just like, happy for them. Yeah, happy for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, Vicky Cavasilis, Rabbits fan here. What do you think needs to change for them in 2024 to get back as title contenders?
All right, conscious we are going probably a little bit over time here. Basically, they need Latrell fit. That's it. Probably need Lockie Ilias to have a more impactful season for longer. I thought he was really... There was part of the season he was really good, and then I think he got a little bit lost. He is still very young, so he will get better. I think Jason Dimitri will be putting a lot of resources into him, giving him that consistent football. But basically, they need their best fullback They need him playing. Like, look at it's no coincidence for me that Souths were flying up until he got injured, and then they fell off a cliff. And then obviously Jack Whiting coming in, it'd be interesting to see how all those cooks don't spoil the broth.
They're not going to spoil the broth. I reckon Bunny's going to be unbelievable next year. And even hearing Jason Demetrio on the round table, I think it's been really interesting to hear him speak about different issues. He's a very, very smart guy.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
Final question then. Andrew Phillips. What will the first week of pre-season be like for the Titans boys under Desi?
Grueling. Absolutely grueling. Like, that's Desi's way. Get you well drilled, and look, he'll identify some of the issues that the Titans have had. He'll have known, he'll have had this job for a good 4 months now. Yeah, a good 4 months.
Feels
So
like
he'll
even
be
longer, maybe.
Yeah, maybe even longer. So it'd be plenty of planning. One of the unfortunate identities of the Titans is they fade away. Well, there's a couple of ways to combat that. Fitness, being well drilled. So Des will be running them.
What's that first? How many people sort of like us chundering in that first week? What percentage?
There are a few that come back.
Are you a bit of a chunderer when pushed to a certain level?
What do you mean by chunder?
Like vomiting and, you know,
no.
yeah.
No,
No,
I've never thrown.
So you didn't know what chundering meant?
I thought you meant like plodding.
Oh, no.
No.
Get
never,
out of it more,
never
mate.
throw up.
You need to look up from your phone every now and then while you learn a few words, like the word chundering.
Look, they'll be very, very well drilled. They'll be very clear in their roles, and that's probably some of the issues that the Titans need to resolve. You know, those late fade outs, those all right, have a lead. How do we get through that? How do we maintain this lead? It's a mentality thing. It's an attitude thing, and he'll be working on that. But geez, you know, it's funny. Adam Reynolds came in. Did you miss it? I'm like, yeah, I do actually miss parts of it, and then I think, oh God, imagine if I was doing pre-season now. Don't miss that. Like, they are going to be some grueling days for all 17 NRL clubs, all of them.
Have you got any good stories of specific Des Hasler pre-season moments, or not even Des Hasler, but just like funny stuff that's happened in pre-season, or someone who's come back pretty unfit, or faking injuries? I know that's a big thing, isn't it, to sort of claim a tight calf?
See, the worry with the calf is that they'll send you for a scan. So my old mate in England, Nick Fozzard, he was an expert at this. He'd just say your neck, because no one's ever going to question your neck.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
Back pain. Can you see back pain on the scan?
Back spasm.
Yeah.
Like back spasms. You can't question them. But he was like hilariously funny. But he'd all, oh, my neck. Ooh, this shooting pain down my neck. Knows he's not going to get sent for a scan. And yeah, he would be very good at manipulating those type of injuries. The rumor has it, and I'm not joking. Like, the story went, and he never really denied it, but he went for like a knee clean out at the end of 1 year because he'd been complaining. And I think the story goes is that the surgeon opened it up and went, "Oh no, we've opened the wrong one up. This one's fine." And it wasn't. It was the one he'd been complaining about.
So did they then open the other one up as well?
No. I think they did a little. They did like a little sweep or whatever, and was like, "Oh." Again, this is like one of those stories that have gathered a lot of GST or VAT over the years. But so the story goes is Foz went in for one of his knees to be cleaned out, and the surgeon thought they'd opened the wrong one.
I mean, what about some of those doggies boys though in pre-season? Because I mean, there was a lot of different characters. Like,
yeah, well, mate, like obviously we had Des, Taskmaster. Look, Frankie Pritchard was always one for. He'd throw his hand. I've got heat stroke. I've got heat stroke, and I'm looking at him going, "You've got heat stroke. Try being me, lad." Like,
Just
But
come from England.
Yeah, it became like the bit like the ongoing. He used to say it all the time. Like after like we're doing like 10 repetitions of a certain run. He'd be
Yeah.
after the first one, but I think I've got a heat stroke. Oh, Frankie, come on. But no, those days were, mate. The worst thing about Belmore is there's just no breeze there.
Yeah.
Like, and I know the Penrith lads would have the same, and all those Western Sydney clubs. It's just, horrendous. Like, yeah, the old reapply of the sun. Like, for me personally, I'd have the zinc on here and on there, but then I'd have to obviously when you're doing live scrimmaging, it comes off.
He's getting your eyes as well, doesn't he? Your sweat and gets in your eyes.
Yeah, well, the zinc is supposed to stop it, but
right.
it still ends up there because you're scrimmaging, you're like tackling and people.
Yeah.
Comes off, and I'm like, oh shit, can I put some more? And then it's all over your hands.
Did you put sunscreen on before I run this today?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course I did.
Yeah.
Why?
No, that's good. That's
Well,
good.
because it would have been about what?
I don't know. It was 7:30 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, but it's
something
still
like that.
hot.
Bit cloudy around.
It was still UV rays.
bit cloudy.
UV
7:30
was the UV rays?
I don't know. It might have been. It felt quite cloudy
Well-
as we ran around, but that's all right.
Protection. All right, Charlie. Well, it's great to have you back. It's been fun. We've talked a lot of different things, but it's been a great episode.
Great to be in Brisbane.
Great to be in Brisbane. Thanks for listening, everybody, to the Byram Midweek Matters. We'll hopefully... Oh, no, we won't be back next week because you're off on your holidays.
Yeah, but Brandon Smith's in. Even better.
Even better.
Much better.
Much better than yourself. All right, we'll catch you soon. Charlie will be tanning, so interesting to see how he comes back. A haircut potentially on the cards. We've been speaking about off air, so stay tuned for that.